The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to John. Glory to you, Lord. There was a wedding at Cana in Galilee, and the mother of Jesus was there. Jesus and his disciples were also invited to the wedding. When the wine ran short, the mother of Jesus said to him, "They have no wine." And Jesus said to her, "Woman, how does your concern affect me? My hour has not yet come." His mother said to the servers, "Do whatever he tells you." Now there were 6 stone water jars there for Jewish ceremonial washings, each holding 20 to 30 gallons. Jesus told them, "Fill the jars with water." So they filled them to the brim. Then he told them, "Draw out now and take it to the head waiter." So they took it. And when the head waiter tasted the water that had become wine without knowing where it came from, although the servers who had drawn the water knew, the head waiter called the bridegroom and said to him, "Everyone serves good wine first, and then when people have drunk freely, an inferior one. But you have kept the good wine until now." Jesus did this as the beginning of his signs at Cana in Galilee, and so revealed his glory, and his disciples began to believe in him. The Gospel of the Lord.
Well, congratulations for getting through the snow and getting to church. I had to do a little shoveling myself. I think I got my snow removal man out of bed. I called him so early. And he said, "Well, I can't come down yet because the Oweckta Trail hasn't been plowed by the town." But he says, "I'll get to it." Well, thank God he got to it, and that made it possible for me to get to you. In today's gospel, Jesus worked his first miracle in order to grant a temporal favor to save a newly married couple from embarrassment. It had other effects also. It convinced his very recent disciples of their belief that he was the expected Messiah, and it convinces all Christians of the efficacy of Our Lady's intercession for us. By Jesus' kind act, he has shown us that he also is interested in our earthly affairs. He became man in order that we would become sons of God. He came on earth so we could go to heaven. The miracle at Cana proves that he has a deep interest in our many activities during the course of our journey to heaven. He told us, "Ask, and you shall receive." It tells us that our prayers will be answered. And what we should ask for is not only spiritual gifts, but temporal ones which we need. We shall get our temporal requests, provided that they won't impede us on our journey to heaven. Take an example from everyday life. No good father would give his child a gift that would injure him. God is the kindest of fathers, and he sees what will or will not endanger our eternal happiness. We can and should therefore make our needs known to God in our prayers. Be confident that he will give us what we ask for if it is for our good. Some will object how often they have asked God for temporal favors, but their prayers were unanswered. Perhaps you didn't get what you asked for, but you got something more necessary, something you never thought of asking for. Make your temporal and spiritual needs known to God in prayer. Your prayers will not be unanswered. We should also ask ourselves one question: are we really and truly grateful to God for all he has done and is still doing for us? What have I done in the past? What am I doing in the present to show my gratitude to God for favors that I've received from him? I'd like to tell you something I had to deal with 7 years ago that reminds me of what we are dealing with here today. A niece of mine, Julia, at the age of 5, was visiting our family in Rochester. She lives in Toronto with her family. And they came down to Rochester to ski at Bristol Mountain. When they returned to her grandmother's house, my sister, after skiing, Julia was not feeling well and had strange symptoms. A neighbor came by just to say hello. He had been suffering from diabetes for many years himself. He told us that Julia had all the symptoms of diabetes. He told her family to return immediately to Toronto. He was correct. She had diabetes 1. She was been treating it for the past 7 years. 7 years ago, I asked God to help her. I asked God, let her live like any child of her age. When I was very young, maybe 9, 10 years old, I had a dreadful experience with diabetes of another member of our family, my grandfather. In fact, I was named after him. And in those days, there wasn't any close to a cure that they have today. I remember my father getting up early in the morning before he went to work, and he had to go to his father to give him shots. And then, unfortunately, my grandfather lost a leg. So when I heard my niece had diabetes, I really was having a hard time. So as I said, I asked God, just make her like any other child growing up. Now, I learned recently that Julia, this niece I'm talking about, has developed a talent of being an artist. She can draw. She can paint. She made one picture for me for Christmas. She will be entering high school in the fall. There is one school in Toronto which has a special program for students with artistic talents. If they qualify, they can enter their art program. And to my amazement and gratitude, she has qualified and was accepted in their program. So God answered my prayers. Julia will have a normal life, even with diabetes. And then, as I said, anytime God gives us something, we ought to thank Him. And the way I thanked Him for the past 7 years for what He's done for Julia is to care for any sick person I deal with in my family or in the parish I serve. This week I visited a lady who is in your local nursing home. All her family was there. She was very, very sick. And I told her, I will say Mass for you tomorrow, because I had no obligation of saying Mass. Now, what I did, maybe this is too off the wall, I brought some things that you might like to browse after Mass. It's right over here. What is there is a picture of Julia, and also the fact that she gave me a present for Christmas. And it's a picture of a toy I made her many years ago, probably when she was 5 years old. And the toy is for those who bake, it's a tray that those who do baking bake cupcakes, 12 cupcakes. So I have this hobby of woodworking, and I found a pattern. So I made the part of the toy that holds the cupcakes, and then I made 12 cupcakes, all out of wood, all painted. And her mother said that's a toy she loved to play with her friends. So there's a picture. You're welcome to look at it. And I thought it'd be a nice conclusion to this talk. So pray for the things you need, and you'll get them, just like I got it. I got it. And when you get it, make sure you thank God.